So get this guy finds out his own dad secretly took him off the kidney transplant list. Like the man he's been caring for 10 years. And while he's dying, he's helping his daughters commit fraud, claiming benefits for caring for him when they literally never show up. I'm not kidding. So now he has to ask himself, does he walk away completely or just keep being used? Because here's the thing, he's the only one actually keeping his dad alive. Okay, so this guy, let's call him Op, he's 26 years old now. But he's been caring for his dad since he was 16, a whole decade. His dad is disabled, kidney failure, on dialysis, waiting for a transplant. And when the parents got divorced, guess what? The sisters went with mom. Op stayed with dad. So he's been the caretaker this entire time. Now here's where it gets messy. His sisters, they've done basically nothing. I mean, almost zero. But somehow, they've been claiming benefits as if they're caring for him. One sister got a carer's allowance she absolutely did not earn. Another applied for a young carer's grant. And the dad, he just lets it happen. He says he's just trying to help them. But help them with what? They're adults. They don't visit. They don't lift a finger. And Op is the one actually doing everything. Cooking, cleaning, doctor's appointments, the whole thing. His wife even moved back in with them to help. So you'd think the dad would appreciate that, right? Well, here's where it gets worse. The doctor calls Op one day and says your father is no longer on the transplant list. Yeah, they took him off. Why? Because his health has gotten so bad, they're not even sure he'd survive the anesthesia for the surgery. And a major reason for that, his diet. His diet was terrible, and Op hadn't been living there at the time, so he couldn't control it. So now Op is furious, but also terrified. He and his wife move back in immediately to try to fix the diet, get his dad healthy enough to maybe get back on that list. They're sacrificing everything, time, energy, money. And while they're there, Op finds a letter, another grant application, this time from the youngest sister, claiming she's a young carer. 16 hours a week of care required. She sees the dad maybe once a month. He confronts his dad. Another fight. The dad says the same thing, I'm just trying to help her. But help her with what? She's not doing anything. Meanwhile, Op and his wife are burning themselves out, and he's not getting any of these benefits. None. The sisters are literally profiting off a lie, and the dad is enabling it over and over again. So Op is sitting there thinking, why am I doing this? Why am I killing myself for someone who keeps rewarding the people who abandoned him? So after that gut punch from the doctor, Op and his wife don't even think twice. They pack up and move back in with his dad. Like fully move in. Their own place, their own privacy, gone. All because they want to save this man's life. And what are they doing there? Basically full-time nutritionists. They're cooking every meal, monitoring everything he eats, trying to undo years of bad habits. Because the doctors were clear, if his diet doesn't change, he's never getting that transplant. He'll just die, so they're giving up everything. Time, money, sanity. His wife is a saint for agreeing to this, honestly. And then Op is going through some mail, just trying to get organized, and he finds a letter. His youngest sister, the 18-year-old, has applied for a young carer's grant. This is money you get if you're providing at least 16 hours of care a week to a disabled family member. 16 hours a week. She sees his dad maybe once a month, if that. So Op is standing there holding this letter, and you can just feel his blood boiling. He confronts his dad immediately, and his dad's response, I'm just trying to help her, help her commit fraud, because that's what this is. Lying on a government form, taking money that's meant for actual carers. And here's the part that really gets me. Op and his wife are the only ones actually providing care. They're doing everything. Bathing him, feeding him, driving him to dialysis, managing his meds. They've completely upended their lives. And the sisters? Nothing, zero, zip. But somehow, the dad keeps bending over backward to give them money. Benefits, a car, things Op has never seen a dime of. So Op looks at his dad and says, basically, are you serious right now? I'm here every single day. My wife is here. We're killing ourselves for you. And you're over there helping them lie for cash. And the dad just doesn't get it. Or maybe he does, but the guilt of not being there for his daughters eats at him. So he enables them. over and over. But at what point does that become a betrayal of the person who's actually showing up? I mean, imagine giving everything you have to someone and watching them turn around and hand rewards to the people who abandoned them. That's not just frustrating, that's heartbreaking. Op doesn't want praise, he just wants fairness, or at least acknowledgement, but he's not getting any of that either. Okay, but it gets even more infuriating. There's this thing called the Motability Scheme. Basically, if you're disabled, you can get a car at a huge discount. Cheaper rental, lower insurance, the whole deal. It's meant to help with medical appointments, getting groceries, just living life. And Op's dad qualified. So Op is thinking, great. I'm living with him, I'm his full-time caregiver, this car would make everything so much easier. He's expecting to get it. Makes perfect sense, right? Wrong. The dad gives the car to one of Op's sisters, the one who doesn't help at all, and she keeps it for 4 years. 4 years, never once uses it for his care. Not once. Op ends up having to rent a car and pay inflated insurance just to manage his dad's appointments, while his sister is driving around in a car meant for his dad's medical needs. And here's the kicker, she pays the rental on it. So she gets all the benefit, pays a small fee, and Op gets screwed. The dad refuses to take it back and give it to Op. I mean, come on. So Op goes online and asks, would I be the a-hole if I just stopped? And the community, man, they did not hold back. One person says, not the a-hole. He doesn't seem to realize that without you, he'd probably be dead by now. Just let that sink in. Op has literally kept his father alive. And the dad's response is to keep handing benefits to people who don't show up. Another commenter nails the dynamic. They call it exactly what it is, exploitation. They say Op is the scapegoat child. The sisters are the favorites. The dad is rewarding neglect and punishing sacrifice. And the only reason anyone would say Op is wrong is because they've never lived in a toxic family like this. Someone else says, tell him if he wants your help, he needs to call those benefits offices and admit he was lying. Otherwise, his daughters can step up. Because why should Op risk being complicit in fraud? And here's the brutal truth underneath all of this. The dad knows Op won't leave. He's counted on it for a decade. So he keeps pushing, keeps enabling, keeps giving. And Op keeps staying. But at some point, you have to ask, is love supposed to feel like being used? So here's where the story takes a turn. And honestly, it's heavy. So just a heads up. 4 years later, Op comes back with an update. His dad passed away in January 2023. Complete kidney failure. No transplant ever happened. And Op, he wasn't surprised. He'd watched the decline. He knew it was coming. But the rest of the family, they were shocked. Which tells you everything, right? They weren't there. They didn't see it day by day. There's this one moment, though, that just sticks with you. Right near the end, Op shows his dad the very first ultrasound of his son. His dad's first and only grandchild. The baby looked like a little seahorse, Op says, and his dad cried. They had this short, quiet conversation about fatherhood. And then his dad got tired and fell asleep. He never woke up. But here's the thing, Op asked his dad not to tell anyone about the pregnancy yet. Too early. They didn't want to jinx it. And his dad looked at him and said, I'll take it to the grave. 3 days later, he died. And he kept his word. Op thinks that moment, seeing that scan, made his dad die happy. Now the sisters. They never changed. They barely visited. On his last birthday, his actual final birthday, they ignored him completely. No visit, no call, no text, not even a message. Op says his dad was devastated. But the second they found out he was dying, they rushed to his side, stayed until he passed. But here's the brutal part. He was already unconscious by then. He didn't know they were there. They didn't show urgency when he was first admitted, 2 weeks earlier. Only showed up when Op told them he'd chosen to end life support. 2 weeks. They had 2 weeks. And Op had to be the one to tell his dad the truth. Everyone else was giving false hope. You'll get better, hang in there. Mostly for themselves. So his dad finally asked Op directly, am I dying? And Op said, yes, you're going to die soon. Imagine having to say that to your own father. He passed surrounded by people who barely gave him their time when he was alive. The sisters regret it now. Of course they do. But it's too late. At the funeral, they were civil, haven't spoken since. Op scattered his share of the ashes at the end of a canal, the one his dad always wanted to sail but never got to. The sisters turned theirs into jewelry, and Op misses him every day, especially because his son, that little seahorse, looks just like his dad. He says things never got resolved with the daughters, and that's sad. But he also says, I think he died a happy man, and that's enough for me. You know, reading that, you realize Op didn't get the apology he deserved. He didn't get fairness or gratitude or even basic respect from his siblings. But he got something else. He got to give his dad peace. He got to be there at the end. And he got to tell the truth when no one else would. That's not nothing. So after everything, Op scatters his dad's ashes at the end of that canal he never got to see. Just him, the water, and that unfinished dream. His sisters turn their share into jewelry. Different ways of grieving, I guess. But Op misses his dad every single day, especially now that his little boy is starting to look just like him. It's a heavy ending, but not every story wraps up with a bow. Okay, quick pivot, because the next one, totally different, but just as frustrating in its own way. So this mom works full time, 5 days a week. She barely gets any time with her daughter during the week. And the weekends, that's her only real window. Her only time to just be a mom. But her mother-in-law keeps asking for the daughter every weekend, every holiday break. Even on the first weekend of summer, the mom gets home and immediately gets hit with, hey, can she come over? And here's the tough part. The daughter wants to go. She has a friend there. So saying no makes the mom feel like the bad guy. But at the same time, when does it stop? When does she actually get to see her own kid? The husband feels stuck in the middle. He thinks she's overreacting. But she's starting to feel like this is partial custody with her mother-in-law. So she goes online and asks, am I the a-hole for being upset? Or am I just stressed out and overthinking this? Short answer, she's not wrong for wanting her weekends. But let's see what happened next. So the mill lives about 45 minutes away. Not super far, but far enough. And yeah, the daughter has a friend there, so she actually wants to go, which makes saying no really hard. But here's the problem. It's becoming like partial custody. The mill asks for every holiday break, every long weekend, even random weekends during the school year. And the mom is working full time, so weekends are literally her only real time with her kid. The husband, he's stuck in the middle. He doesn't want to upset his mom, but he also doesn't want to upset his wife. So he just kind of does nothing, which makes it worse. Community chimes in and says, not the a-hole, set boundaries, you're not gatekeeping, you're protecting your time with your daughter. Then comes the update. The daughter has this dance recital. It's amazing. Mill attends. They grab dinner after, celebrating. Then, as they're finishing up, the mill turns to the daughter and says, completely casual, so you're coming home with me, right? The mom is floored, because she just had the daughter the weekend before. And the mom already agreed to let her go next weekend. But this weekend? No, this weekend is family time, so the mom says no. And she says it with a little more edge than she meant to, a little sharper, and immediately the daughter jumps in. Oh, we were just joking, Mom, trying to smooth things over, trying to protect everyone from the tension. And that just makes the mom feel worse. Like now her kid is managing her emotions. That's not fair to anyone. She ends up feeling guilty, like the bad guy again. But deep down, she still wants her weekends. And honestly, that's not unreasonable. So two very different stories, but one common thread, knowing when you've given enough. Boundaries are hard. Guilt is real. But protecting your peace isn't selfish. If you made it this far, you clearly love these stories. So hey, save this one for later, watch a couple more, and if you're enjoying them, you know what to do. Thanks for hanging out. Seriously.